Zimmer Communications World Headquarters. This is Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell, the Zimmer News Team, and your host, Randy Tobler.
Sunny day, sweeping out clouds away. On my way to where the air is sweet. Can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street?
Well, good morning on this Feel Good Friday. The rescission bill passed. And you may never hear this again if you listen to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. They're going to be down $1 billion as a result of the rescission package passing. And I know that you're crying out alligator tears. Right, Stephanie?
Very
Bell?
much so.
Yeah, John Marsh, you're crying. What are you going to do? You won't be able to watch Sesame Street anymore.
PBS, McNeil Lair. They're still around?
I know. And Drake, what are you going to do when we ask you to turn up the fourth pot? What are you going to be able to do?
And find out.
Happy people like you.
That's one bet. Two bets. Three fabulous flyers. What? Nothing?
What is Drake going to do without the count to tell him what to do? I don't know what to do. I've got to count to one, then I've got to count to two. What are you going to do?
I'm just going to cry and hope that one of my coworkers helps me.
Well, and I thought they were going to be cutting permanent funding, but then I heard this morning, I've got to do some research into the weeds of this bill. Apparently, it's only $1 billion for the rest of this year.
And
we did some research. CPB funding for non-commercial radio and TV stations amounts to about 1/5 of their funding. Mm-hmm. It's not like the left is portrayed that, PBS and NPR will go completely off the air. No, they're just going to have to trim the budget.
Oh, wow. What a unique thought that some non-government organization or quasi-non-government organization will have to somehow, cut back. I think I know what that's like in a private business. How about you, Stephanie? We all know about that, right? Called budgeting.
Certainly do.
Yeah. Drake, you know that.
100%.
So I guess the count will only be able to, 20%, will only be able to count to 8. You'll have to figure out 9 and 10. And then
that's it.
And Big Bird will have some exposed cloth. The feathers won't quite.
Cookie Monster will now be getting only 4/5 of an Oreo.
That's right. Oh, and in other news, we can't not talk about the Epstein thing. It's hotter than a hot potato, and it just keeps going and going and going. And now Trump is calling for. He wants Bondi to release the indictment, the grand jury indictment with the names redacted. It came out, a big Wall Street Journal piece came out yesterday that allegedly in 2003, this was before Epstein's conviction, I think it was 2003, that a letter for Epstein's 50th birthday, Ghislaine Maxwell?
That's right.
She compiled an album of all of his buddies and his bros and his friends and whatever, 50th anniversary of letters and quips. And Dershowitz wrote something in there, and then a letter from Donald Trump, which is essentially Access Hollywood #2, version 2.0, right?
And Trump's denying this letter.
He's denying it.
There was like a picture, and he's like, I don't draw.
It's a picture with an arc of allegedly he writes a picture, he draws a picture, and it's a caricature of a woman with where the chest parts would be little arcs, and where the other hinterland parts would be his name under it in the pubic area, and then later, and then he said something about have a wonderful day and may you have many more wonderful secrets, something like that. I'm paraphrasing. So. Then Trump on Truth Social says, based on the ridiculous amount of publicity, I've asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony. I don't know where this is going. Bondi responds on X and says, Mr. President, I will be going to a federal judge or whoever judge to make sure to ask if that can be done. Later on at 7:08, Jen Bukowski is going to join us to help me understand. You probably know the answer to this, but her being a criminal defense attorney, I thought we'd bring her on and talk about it. But Stephanie, if someone is not charged but they're mentioned in an indictment. And that's, I think, part of the crux here, that the accusers must have mentioned something about names to the jury, the grand jury. And what's being reported is, so there are some names in there that might be a little bit, public official-wise, pretty prominent folks. But if they're not charged or they're dead, is it appropriate, is it traditional for the DOJ to put their names out there if they're not charged as a co-conspirator or something, right? No, I think that's very unusual.
I think so, too. I mean, if you remember all of the stuff about the 2020 election, there were lots of mentions of the unindicted co-conspirators in all of the documents that we ended up getting, and they didn't actually name those people. Now, sometimes based on the information, you kind of figured out who those people were, or at least the media thought they did. But yeah, I think it would be rare for the DOJ to name those people.
So in this letter, there was a little bit of essentially it wasn't clear how the letter with Trump's signature was prepared.
Maybe it was done with the auto pen.
Inside the outline of the naked woman.
Does the auto pen draw pictures?
It was a typewritten note styled as an imaginary conversation between Trump and Epstein. This is according to reporting in the Wall Street Journal. They claim that they have seen this binder, or no, they talked to people who have seen this binder that was reviewed by the Department of Justice, and it's basically a parody written in the third person. Voiceover, there must be more to life than having everything, the note began. Donald. So this is like a third-person narrative, and it was a typed thing inside this letter. Yes, there is, but I won't tell you what it is. Jeffrey, nor will I, since I know what it is. Donald, we have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, yes, we do, come to think of it. Donald, enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? Jeffrey, as a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you. Trump, a pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret. Now, later, shortly after this, I believe, on the timeline, Epstein was kicked out of Mar-a-Lago. I mean, he was basically abandoned by Trump. Trump said, vamos, get out of here.
Sounds kind of bogus.
Sounds to me, at worst, it's a couple of guys with more locker room talk, like Access Hollywood. Now, is that presidential? Is that the kind of behavior that, I don't know, that's sort of creepy, weird if he's talking about. And he mentioned Trump had made quotes when they were together and hanging out a lot. I mean, when they were together, they were hanging out a lot about how he liked young women. I mean, that was apparently common knowledge then. But there's a difference between a young woman and raping a girl that's underage, right? I mean, it's a little bit of a difference there.
I mean, Bill Belichick does it. I mean,
wait a minute.
Look at where he is. It's not a crime. I'm just saying that it's something that we accept as a society.
You better watch out. You'll get a defamation thing here. Hang on. She's not underage. She's young.
No, that's what I'm saying. She's young.
Oh, okay.
She's not underage.
Oh, okay. We have to be careful here. Yeah. No, you're right. Well, but I don't know. That's not too uncommon. How old was Jackie O when she married Onassis, Aristotle Onassis? I mean, their age was crazy apart. So I mean, that's gone on for forever.
She was 39 years old. How old was he?
I don't know. He was as old
70,
as oil.
maybe.
He was as old as the stuff that made him rich. Wasn't he an oil tycoon?
He was a shipping tycoon.
Oh, I thought he was a fossil fuel. Oh no, he himself was a fossil fuel.
She was 39. He was 62. That's really not that much. Like, the Bill Belichick thing's way worse than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 70 to like 26.
Yeah.
It's 26.
Why is it worse?
I mean, the gap is just quite significant.
Yeah.
Like 20 years, I think a lot of people wouldn't really bat an eye at these days.
Wasn't Grover Cleveland like in his 50s when he married his wife when he was president? She was 20-something.
Yeah. And then, but so, I mean, I guess people find their soulmate in different ways. Right, Stephanie? Yeah.
I mean, with the Bill Belichick thing, I think it'd be hard to say that when you're like 70 that your soulmate is 22.
What about Caroline Levitt? She's, 27?
Oh, that's fair.
And her husband's, 66? 64? I don't know.
Some people have like an older soul. You meet someone who's younger and you feels like they were born at the wrong time or something, right? I don't know.
Yeah. It's like a chronological it's a transchrono. It's a transchrono. We just have a new word. I'm identifying the guy, Belichick's identifying as a 30-year-old dude. That's what it is.
I mean, I identify as 29.
Me too.
Yeah, Caroline Levitt's 27. Her husband's 59.
Oh, is that all? Oh, that's nothing.
You're going to get yourself in trouble, Randy.
Well, I've seen this a lot. I mean, you see this. This is a common thing. These are the things jokes are made of in stand-up. So this Epstein thing has created a little rift, I think, among hardcore politic types within the GOP. It's just, if you're part of the Wake Up family, we're talking about it. You're listening to the talkosphere. I get it. You're watching Fox or Newsmax or News Nation, But I'm not sure most people know that much about that.
My non-political friends, they were telling me yesterday, I can't believe this is happening. Like, this is crazy that this seems like a very big cover-up.
Really?
And, yeah, I've been hearing it from everywhere.
Well, don't you think Joe Biden would have released it? Don't you think Merrick Garland would have been all over that if there was something there?
Big D's on the list, too.
Yeah.
They're all in cahoots together.
Oh, so you're buying...
Well, Bill Clinton's been mentioned from the get-go,
And at the end of the day, is anyone surprised? What is the scandal here? People in positions of high power, high wealth, that have nothing else to do, whether they're football players, whether they're basketball players, whether they're performers, they run out of things to do. So they start just going crazy and doing absolutely...
This is the new Dell AI
they
with Intel
throw
inside.
chairs off the top of bars and they
there you go.
say bad things.
That's right.
I don't know that they don't have anything to do.
I think they just get... There's not enough stimulation in their regular lives. They've got 100,000 people clamoring to see them every night. And it's like, what more? Okay, I got to do something else. And then they get to think they're immune. That they're immune from any kind of accountability. That's the only way I can...
We take you to Mr. Diddy for
really
weighing in on that mindset.
And so it doesn't surprise me. It makes me sad, but it doesn't surprise me. That's what people do. And then we let them take our money and decide what to do with it if we do the right thing for them. These are the people that we do. Bob Menendez comes to mind. Esteemed senator. Yeah, right. Back with the Daily DC Rundown in 5.
You're listening to Wake Up Missouri.
issued a letter that was included in a book many years ago that Trump apparently drew a picture and they wrote some things. Trump denies it and is threatening a lawsuit. Yesterday, also on the Epstein front, the House Rules Committee advanced a resolution calling for the DOJ to release some of the information related to Epstein. It's unclear whether that will then go to a full House floor vote. We are waiting on news on that. Trump did say on Thursday that he is authorizing Bondi to release relevant grand jury testimony in the Epstein case. So we still might be learning more, but I think it's like an insatiable want from folks with all of the, until they release a list that says Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew, whatever.
Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I don't know that people are ever going to not have conspiracy theories surrounding this. So even with potentially the release of some grand jury testimony.
Do you think that this was about the same thing except sex wasn't involved, but some kind of, gold bars in the pants ring, that kind of a thing? I don't think people love salacious, sexually perverted, creepy, weird stuff. That's what we like to watch.
Well, from what we know, that's exactly what this was. And it's kind of like true crime as well. Like, if it wasn't those young college kids in the Kohberger case and the weirdo and people wouldn't have been as excited about it and wanting to know about it. I mean, we're obsessed with, I think we talked about it when that was coming out. We want to know the motivation. We want to know every detail of the crime. And oftentimes we are left wanting because we don't oftentimes find out the motivation other than perhaps, some allegations of mental illness. And here, I think it's caught the headlines. You're right, Randy. It's exactly the kind of thing that people feel like they want to know every detail. And I just don't think we're going to get there.
I don't know. Well, Bondi doesn't really have control of it, from what I understand. The judges determine.
Well, we will see. The Trump yesterday, we said that he was going to sign additional executive orders. He did. It creates a new category of non-federal employees. These Schedule G employees are said to boost operations, and essentially they're kind of like at-will employees that whenever the president that you came to work for leaves office, they can get rid of you too. I wonder, so these
sounds like state government.
Yeah, Schedule G employees. Are there Schedule A, B, C, D, E?
I wonder, like ranks? Yeah.
I don't know. Do they brag about it? Well, you're Schedule E and I'm Schedule G. G seems way down the list.
As long as you've got GS on payday, it's all good.
Sounds like we have a caste system in the government employ.
I think it's a step in the right direction. What we know is, certainly we talked to Zach Smith at Heritage, how we're moving away from allowing unelected bureaucrats to make important decisions. But at the same time, there's armies of bureaucrats in the government that often have political motivations. And it's sometimes hard to get rid of these folks when there is a change in leadership. And I like this. But I'm sure, like many of the other executive orders, we might see some lawsuits there. We also saw action on Crypto Week. The House passed legislation Thursday. That's the stablecoin legislation. It sets up a regulatory framework for payment stablecoins. That's called the Genius Act, and they passed it by a vote of 308 to 122. It's seen as a major win for the industry. Bitcoin and the rest of those coins are going crazy right now. And actually, we're going to talk Bitcoin with an expert. John Ruth's going to join us on Monday.
Yeah, it'll be fun. And coming up, we're going to talk with Mike Murphy, who's going to report on the good and the bad, the ugly of the coming vote that you'll be taking if you live in Boone County on the Senior Citizen Property Tax Freeze Initiative petition. And we'll probably talk about the initiator of that petition as well. That at 6:35. Stay tuned.
Has America been fair to Donald Trump? The people always know what's going on.
73874-9390. We want to talk about this upcoming election in the Boone County area here, and that concerns the senior citizen property tax freeze. You know, this is on the heels of legislation, not this last, but the previous session. Isn't that right, Mike Murphy, who joins us now?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, it's this was actually approved in like 2023. It's just a bizarre story. The Boone County, the residents are going to be confused because they already have property tax relief. Their property tax is frozen. It's been in place. This is the second year. It's been enormously popular. More than 10,000 parcels have been enrolled. That's more than 20% of the single-family homes in the county. But what's happened is it's you got to understand a little bit of the history of how this whole thing started. When it came out of the General Assembly, the counties had the choice of either implementing it themselves just by statute or taking a vote of the people. Mm-hmm. Boone County wasn't very enthusiastic. The three Democrat Boone County commissioners weren't particularly enthusiastic, or at least State Representative Sheree Tolson-Rice, then State Representative from Hallsville, Republican from Hallsville, didn't think they were going to be didn't think they would do it. So she started a petition drive to get it done. She needed to get 4,500 signatures. While she was doing that, you could tell in the wind that this was going to be pretty popular, and commissioners decided to put it on the ballot themselves in like April of 2024 while that petition drive was going on. Well, but they didn't put the entire freeze as it came out of the General Assembly. They made a couple small tweaks to it that they thought were important that involved, the big tweak was exempting voter-approved bond levies from the freeze. So, for example, the school district, a small part of their levy would include bond levies that they've had passed for building schools and things like that. There's some reasons to exempt those. We'll talk about that in a second, but they exempted them. So what some people would say, including former State Rep Sheree Tolson-Rice would say, is it's not the full exemption.
Well, that's right. It's not a full exemption.
Okay.
And was it only for previously passed bond issues?
Yeah.
Or
well,
going
no, it
forward?
would be going forward also.
Okay.
So the county, for reasons that they believe, and we'll get to in a second, they're pretty valid, actually, I think. Well, there's disagreement on that. But they put it on the ballot in April, and it passed overwhelmingly, so they implemented the program as they wrote it. Well, come December of that year, Sheree turns in her signatures and gets it certified. Her referendum is certified. The way she wrote it, or her and her team wrote it for a August or a November election, so they couldn't do it in last April's election. So the first time this has come up is this August's election. So her referendum, which is SB 190 and the 756, I think it is, that exactly how it came out of the General Assembly, which would be to exempt make the freeze include all levies. That's what's going on the ballot in August, in a couple weeks here. So if that's passed, it would override the one that the commissioners already have in place.
And so the argument against that we're going to be voting on here in a couple weeks is that it's going to leave some of these bonds that need to be funded underfunded.
No, what it would do is when you're on your freeze, instead of getting 100% freeze going forward, you're going to get a 90, 95, 98, 96% freeze. It's going to subtract out whatever portion of that. It's not going to freeze the portion of that increases that pay off bond issues.
But that's under the commissioner's rule.
Correct.
But if Sheree's rule passes, you'll get 100%.
Correct.
And then the taxing authorities need to find a way to top up what's missing then.
Correct.
Right? Because 100% would now happen in 20% of the single homes.
Yeah. And this is only on increases. Now, I think what the argument there, and I think what Sheree's been arguing, I've talked to her several times about this, is this is just what the General Assembly intended, and this is good. What commissioners are arguing is a couple of things that you need to listen to. Is they believe, for what it's worth, that this could be a violation of the Missouri Constitution, which prevents select groups from having to be responsible for a tax. They're concerned about bond underwriters who have made terms of a bond agreement with investors, and now they're going to change it, okay? They're worried that could lead to credit downgrades and perhaps even a lawsuit from a taxing jurisdiction wanting to preserve their credit rating and their bond payments and throw this whole thing into chaos.
And senior citizens, on the other hand, are saying, wait a minute. The law says plain and simple. My property taxes are frozen, and I don't want to. Why is it? What's the little carve out here?
Playing the devil's advocate on the county commissioner's side here is they would say, but we get some real crap legislation that comes out of Jeff City. It means well, and we'll even agree with the intent of it, but it's not written exactly like it should be, and we've cleaned it up to keep ourselves out of court.
And I would say, well, then go run for the General Assembly. No, I mean, so guess who's joining us now? Guess who just called? Cherie Tolson Rice.
Good deal.
Okay, Cherie. It's going to get fun now, folks. Hello, Cherie. Now, what do you say? Are you calling Bravo Sierra on Kip Kendrick on this?
Not necessarily, but I do feel that other counties have done this, and it is the law, and it is going to be constitutional, whereas they think adding the bond levies is not constitutional. And a couple of things. Mike, you have done a wonderful job on this.
He has.
But when they put out about 11,000, that's people. There's only under 9,000 houses because a lot of those contain married people or unmarried people. So in the big scheme of things, this is not going to hurt any political subdivisions. Even the fire district has come out. It's not. And if most voters pay attention, most bond elections say no tax increase, and no political subdivision is going to lose a penny. This is just any future increases will freeze, and it's not going to hurt the political subdivisions. I set tax levies for the city of Hauswirth for 34 years, and I can tell you it's built in there. Any kind of, not just the payment, the interest, overhead, blah, 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 but they will be fine. And what this is going to help is those senior citizens on a fixed income stay in their home.
Has anyone done the math, Mike, as Cherie? Let's say, what is the average value of a home in Boone County? A couple, 300,000, 250,000? Let's say 300,000 for argument's sake. So if a senior citizen has a house that's worth 300,000 and then it gets assessed, under the current freeze, what would they be paying despite what they thought was a freeze? So what would they be saving if your referendum is passed? What does it really mean in dollars saved? Do we know for the average senior citizen homeowner?
I don't know that I know of a figure. It's that their taxes are not going to go down. They are not going to pay any less. And so future increases, no one knows yet on what future increases may be. Well, and so it'll show up on a credit on their tax bill
I guess,
if there is.
But what I'm saying is in this taxing year, let's say, under the county's rule, let's say they're going to be sent a little bill. They're going to be sent some little bill, right, to pay for some kind of bond issue. But what would that little bill be? That's what I'd like to know.
I think we'll know here later this year. We don't have that number yet, but as they calculate all of these credits that go back, number one, we'll find out what didn't get paid that would have what didn't get charged that would have otherwise gotten charged. Now, when you get down into the slicing the hairs about the bond issue over at the school, that might, I don't know if we'll ever get that number or when that number will come up. I'll tell you something that's interesting to me, Cherie, though, is you look at that Columbia Public Schools Board of Education. You're as familiar with that as I am. They're going to have another bond issue here in a year or two, build another elementary school. I mean, they're certainly not the least bit shy about litigation. And you know where they're coming from politically. I think that's going to be worth keeping an eye on this thing.
Yeah, until we get the real numbers, I really think they're over-exaggerating the effects of this. I really think they're not going to be hurt in their big budget. In the big scheme of things, they'll be able to absorb it and budget accordingly.
What do people what are your friends in the Hallsville School District and Fire District and whatever the SOAR District, whatever district there is? What do they say?
So back when the first one came along, that they were against the 2024 election, they had a consultant that I think even Mike debunked their projections. And all the people that I've talked to, whether they're 62 and over or under, are in favor of it. And so even the Boone County Fire Protection District has come out and said it is not going to hurt them. It's not going to be a problem. And so people think, oh, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. No, it's going to help seniors stay in those houses to continue to pay those property taxes.
One thing for certain, I think it's been 13 elections or something like that in Boone County. Wherever it's gone to the ballot, 100% of the time it is passed. Yeah. And I certainly would be surprised if this doesn't pass in August here.
I do find it interesting, though, and maybe it's just I find it interesting that you had. I mean, Cherie, what kind of margin did the legislative initiative pass by? Was it pretty substantial, wasn't it?
Oh yes.
So it seems
then we passed the first one in 23, and then the next one in 24.
It just seems to be a little bit of hubris on the part of, and I'm not diminishing Kip and his friends on the commission, but it's like, oh, we know better than all of the legislature in Jefferson City. We know better how to do this. That's just a little bit of a sort of a swag there that bothers me. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's see.
And every county is different, and other counties have already done the full freeze. And a lot of people complain, well, why do we have to sign up every year? And that's a policy decision at the commission level, because a lot of counties, you sign up once and you're done until you sell the house or don't live there anymore.
I can't tell you how many rebates I've signed up for. That 11% at Menards, and I never send it in. That's what they're counting on. You know that.
Oh man, Randy, I do that. Do it.
Hey, Cherie, one quick question before we lose you here. What's going to happen if? Is there any kind of a hammer out there? What happens if this thing passes, which it will, and commissioners do nothing? They do nothing. They just leave their current legislation in place, and they pretend that the election didn't even happen.
Ooh.
They can't and won't do that. They have attorneys' legal advice, and so they have to. It's the law.
Wow. All right. Well, there's Cherie, you did a lot of boots and shoes on the ground. I know. She was everywhere with that petition.
It took longer and harder and more time than I even thought it would.
And your podiatrist thanks you for that. Yeah. That's good. Cherie, thanks so much. Appreciate it. All right. Hey, this is good stuff. Why don't you let us know what you think? And I think I'm gonna wave Make Missouri Healthy again, and let's talk about it after the break. What is your opinion on this? Okay, we're just going to talk about it. 573-874-9390, 800-529-5572.
This is Wake Up Missouri.
Well, the elected officials love to claw back from you, to plunder whatever you have, however they can find it, even if the law says a freeze on your property taxes if you're over 65. Very simple. But Boone County voters will have a chance to enshrine that. Currently, if you're a senior citizen and your assessment has gone up, as it has on almost everyone, then instead of a freeze, you'll get some kind of an incremental increase under the current Boone County Commissioner's interpretation, right, Mike Murphy?
Yeah, the piece that's missing that we really need, I think, in this decision making, perhaps not, but is what is the magnitude of that? And we really don't have it. I think there's a general consensus. It's very, very small. It's of all of the property tax that the school district collects, it's like 60% of its revenue. That's where most of property tax goes to. That funds the school system. What portion of that is going to pay down their bond debt? It's extremely small portion.
Really?
Yeah. Well, think of it. The school district's operating budget's $150 million. Okay. I think their overall budget's like $230 million.
Okay.
So
how much of that's bonding?
I would think down in the $1 million, $2 million.
Oh, I thought it was big time.
No, I don't think so. No, this is just paying off the bond debt. They might have $8, $10, $20 million out there of bonding financing, but this is just the expense that they pay down
just
each
for the
year.
Debt.
Yeah. So that is a relatively, I think, an almost minuscule amount, perhaps.
Yeah.
And I hate to talk authoritatively about it because, frankly, we don't know. Yeah. And unfortunately, with the schools, you can't believe what they tell you when this whole thing, as Cherie alluded to earlier, they're talking about laying off 90 teachers or something. And remember, it's important to note here, it's not like they're getting 1 penny less. They're not getting 1 penny less. It's the amount of increase that they're going to get will be less.
Yeah.
So,
but I guess just if we go back to how the sausage was made, I can't imagine that during the process of debating this bill, crafting the bill, perfecting the bill, that county commissioners from Boone and Platt and
I think
we're all over that. So why?
I think you got it totally backwards. I think
not
that
the first time.
I think what you have is well-meaning legislators, elected politicians, doing their best to bring some relief to senior citizens to keep them in their homes. It's lawyers and policy analysts and experts then who craft, who do the good work of crafting the language to make it work.
Saved yourself there. You said the good work.
Well, and I think if you're asked now,
honor the staff.
I don't want to make this in political in the least bit.
Yeah.
But guys like Kip Kendrick, with 8 years in the legislature, he's got some pretty good understanding about this. Kyle Riemann, the county auditor, he was a budget analyst down there writing fiscal notes for those guys understand policy. They went to the Missouri Association of Counties to get help here and get some professional work to write this language. And their quibble, they know the people want it. They're not. I don't think they're trying to quibble over pennies here. I think they're trying to. I do believe they're sincerely trying to stay out of court, keep this thing legal, and make it work.
Well, but we have lawyers in the legislature in 23 and 24. What was wrong with the lawyers there, Stephanie Bell? Can you apologize for your lawyers there? Why didn't they get it right?
The worst part about lawyers is clients, right? They've got clients
gaslight the client. Now we're gaslighting the client,
That's
are we?
A lawyer joke. But
okay.
my God. No, I'm just saying, as a lawyer, you have a responsibility to do what your client wants. Even sometimes, they could be saying, actually, I think you should do it like this. And the politicians are saying, I'm basically the client. I'm telling you I want to do it like this.
Yeah.
And so, it's no secret that we don't get perfect work from the legislature, and oftentimes they're in a hurry, right?
Well, and they were.
There was accusations of sleight of hand when this was all being built at the Capitol because people, even the lawmakers, were totally confused by it.
And I don't think people would be as worked up over it if they're not seeing a reassessment every other year.
Well, Kenny on the text line saying, they raised everyone's assessment this year, so it looks like they're covering any loss by getting more money before the freeze.
Yeah.
A sneaky bunch for sure.
No, the freeze is in place. The freeze is in place. Yeah. Hey, well, thanks, Mike. Great reporting. Yeah, good discussion. We'll talk about making Missouri healthy again a little bit later in the program. Coming up, we're going to talk about this Epstein thing. Jen Bukowski joins us at 7:08.
with Stephanie Bell, the Zimmer News Team, and your host, Randy Tobler.
With that, I know there's a lot of burning questions in this room by the 14 of y'all that showed up. But just as a reminder, I'm not going to answer any questions about the Epstein files, whether about the radiation belt, and whether or not it was possible for Lee Harvey Oswald to get 3 shots off in 7 seconds. I don't have time to answer all those questions.
Well, that was Eli Drinkwitz at the SEC media days. And he's because everyone's talking about Epstein. And can we see that? Can we see the what's behind the curtain on the indictments, on the documents, on the list, on the email? Who knows? Well, maybe Jen Bukowski. She knows, I'll bet, what's on those client lists and what's redacted and what isn't and what can happen. She joins us now. You hear her, of course, every Sunday here on 93.9 The Eagle. Jen, this is very interesting. Welcome into the program. Yesterday, lots going on. The Wall Street Journal publishes what they say is their knowledge of talking to people that looked at what the FBI reviewed, an album that had a letter in it from Donald Trump to Epstein back in 2003 that was a little bit, salacious. And then Trump wants Bondi to release the grand jury indictment that has redacted names. So with that as the backdrop, what is your reaction? Where's this going to go?
Well, Randy, I think so Bondi doesn't get to control the release of grand jury proceedings. That has to be done by court order, and it's not often done because they want to protect uncharged people, protections against invasion of personal privacy. They limit the release of names or identifying information of individuals who weren't indicted. They protect the confidentiality of confidential sources, and they have a broad. I mean, there are a litany of different things, reasons why they won't release that stuff, but they can release the court. There's been some extraordinary circumstances where they've released it for some issue of public interest, but even there's not an explicit public interest exception to Rule 6C, making grand jury proceedings secret. But in 2011, a D.C. Circuit upheld the unsealing of a 1940s grand jury materials related to the Rosenberg espionage case.
Whoa.
Watergate grand jury materials were similarly unsealed in 2011 at a historian's request. So Congress or others could make a motion to the court saying that this is in the public interest. And then with court approval, they would still have discretion to authorize the release. Congress got some Watergate and Iran-Contra grand jury materials. And so in theory, if Congress investigates Epstein's death, you could get it. The other big exception to grand jury is if you can show that it's in the judicial interest in another proceeding, which is why we have seen some stuff with regard to the civil lawsuits get released.
Oh, okay. Boy, that is a really in-depth and beautiful analysis. Now, you're aware, of course, that Bondi responded to Trump on X saying, President Trump, he requested that she unseal the documents. President Trump, we are ready to move the court tomorrow. This was yesterday evening, late, to unseal the grand jury transcript. So what happens? Does she go to whatever court was this the Southern District Court? I don't know. And this is, Dershowitz said it's the Manhattan judges that are keeping this under seal. So does she now file some kind of a brief with the court? But I didn't hear you say that. I think you said it was the Congress that's going to have the most muscle.
Congress can do it. Yeah. Historians have done it.
Yeah.
And she could do it. Yeah, sure, she could file. But here's the thing. I mean, Randy, there's a trove of information that hasn't been released that isn't grand jury transcripts. They have all the police reports, if there are police reports or tapes or photos or whatever that they have that they haven't released, that she has more discretion to release because they aren't secret under this rule. So I don't know if this is distraction or what. So that, the courts are going to do their job and be like, no, we aren't releasing this because it's too close in time. These people are still alive, unlike Rosenberg case or whatever. And it would cause embarrassment to them, and we're going to protect the integrity of the courts. But they're like, oh, let's focus on the grand jury, and then some judge is going to order no, and then everyone could be mad at the judge instead of Bondi or Trump. Because there are, but the thing about Epstein client list that's been driving me crazy, Randy, is like I've done tons of cases. There isn't like a client list, I doubt. Like I believe them when they say that because he was a wealth manager. That's how he was rich. He wasn't rich by trafficking people and maintaining some list of the people he trafficked girls to. The Ghislaine Maxwell case was about her going to the high school to, get girls to come be masseuses and stuff for Jeffrey Epstein, for her and Epstein to like engage with, not for others to engage with. And so like you could prepare a witness list for, here's who the witnesses are, and we call it the grand jury. But just because they're called as a witness doesn't mean that they were a pedophile, and it would be damaging for their names to be released in association with this stuff. Trump has not hidden the fact that, we've known for years that he was friends with Jeffrey Epstein. And this card, I don't think it sounds like Trump at all, what's been reported in the Wall Street Journal. Yeah. And, Ghislaine Maxwell put together that book. And if she's up at the high school trying to get girls to come give Jeffrey Epstein massages, I wouldn't put it beyond her to forge a card that supposedly came from Trump. And even if it did, it's like not that big of a deal. Like it was like,
it's like access Hollywood light. Not that it's it's whatever. Yeah. Okay, so that's Jennifer Bukowski. She, of course, is the vice chair of the Missouri Republican Party. She's a criminal defense attorney extraordinaire and holds forth here on 93.9 The Eagle every Sunday morning. So she joins us here talking about this Epstein mess.
Well, in the criminal context, Jennifer, when is it appropriate to name people and when is it not? We were talking a little earlier about, everyone wants, obviously, the list of names. They said there isn't one, but certainly there are other people who were named in the original trial. I think I was telling Randy earlier this morning, you and I know several people who are unindicted co-conspirators when it comes to the election in 2020. But that was shared, they weren't publicly named in the court documents. When can they name them and when do they not? Mm-hmm.
Well, that gets tricky and that gets complicated. They can name people, but if they haven't charged them, they just have their own, like DOJ has their own rules protecting that. Then there's like rules of ethics for attorneys, to not damage their reputation. And it gets pretty sensitive when it comes to this like subject area. But the public, you got to weigh that against the public's right to know what's going on. And so there is some discretion involved there. But like obviously like some things like flight logs, they can be protected against even FOIA requests for privacy reasons, right? But we've seen the flight logs and we know like Trump was on a plane like 7 times. So, some things get released that could be held, even back from a FOIA request after the case is closed. Now, up until the time the case is closed, they can like not release anything they don't want to release.
This is fascinating stuff. I think it's really, really interesting. I wonder how much of this really centers around, if some of these people are dead, right? Or is there what is the statute of limitations on that? Because, I was interested in that statement that really launched this, a week and a half ago, that it got Bongino allegedly and Patel all fired up. It's like, well, we've looked at it and there's no incriminating evidence, something like that. There's no prosecutable kind of evidence. What were they trying to say there? Was that sort of a technical legal thing that Well, that closed the case, so then you can FOIA, Freedom of Information Act requests. But there's all kinds of categories of things that you couldn't get under FOIA. If it's going to embarrass uncharged people and things like that, they could redact names. But what would
you could at least the girls, on this occasion were 17, and that's actually legal in whatever state they were in. So, or 18, so it could be helpful, and people, I'm sure, will be sending FOIA requests in to get as many materials as they can on this.
From a political perspective, it seems like the longer this goes on, this is damaging, wouldn't you think? I know we've got Harry Enton on CNN is saying, well, most people that are, conservative / Republican voters, they're not really paying that much attention, and the polls prove it. I've got some clips on that. But do you think what do you think this means politically for Trump and the agenda and the MAGA movement?
I think it's like I've seen it referred to as like bread and circuses. It's much more interesting to talk about this. We're giving into it right now than it is to focus on all the other things that we need to focus on. And the most precious resource we have when we win the White House is time.
Yeah.
And so usually it's the other side, like the Democrats trying to waste as much time with the stupid impeachment, with the Russia hoax, all that stuff to waste the time so we can't get our agenda done. And it's frustrating now to see it's like MAGA right-wing influencers and stuff that have really given into this because they have their own shows. They want their own ratings, and people are just interested in this, rich guy who was hanging out with all kinds of prestigious people. So sometimes rich people are a little weird. It's not that uncommon because they get used to, like, everyone laughs at their jokes or whatever because they like being around them and flying on jets and stuff like that. That doesn't mean that the people around them are all engaging in criminal conduct at all. Like the fact all these other prominent people are around them gives them credibility. And so no wonder Trump thought that Epstein was probably okay, to hang around with or whatever, I mean, he was a private citizen at the time.
Yeah.
But we're wasting our own valuable, precious seconds. Like, to get a confirmed attorney general is no small thing. And it would be incredibly disruptive to get rid of Pam Bondi. We don't have any of our U.S. attorneys in place yet. Like, that would slow that whole process down to try to replace Pam Bondi. So I think, it's frustrating that we can't seem to move past this issue because we're wasting our most valuable resource, which is time holding the Oval Office.
True. Hey, well, thanks for unpacking this. Real quickly, what's going on your show on Sunday?
Well, I'm actually going to have a Congressman Eric Burleson who's supporting some sort of bill to release these Epstein files. So we're going to be talking about this, and we're going to be breaking down other things as well on my show on Sunday.
Beautiful. It's whether we like it or not, it's an itch that needs to be scratched. It's just the truth. Okay, thanks, Jen. Really appreciate it.
Randy.
All right, take care. We'll be listening on Sunday. Back in just a minute. Stay tuned.
You're listening to Wake Up Missouri.
Hey, this morning, let's keep Missouri healthy again. And that means early detection of what is an increasingly early menace for people that used to be more of an older person's disease. That is gastrointestinal cancers, particularly colorectal cancer, which has really been on the upswing in the last, decade and a half or so. So colon cancer, stomach, pancreatic cancers are rising dramatically in younger adults. Remember, was Chadwick Boseman, is that right? Chadwick Boseman, yeah, the guy in Black Panther, right? Great actor, and I mean, he died at age 43 of colon cancer. So we're seeing over the last 15 years or so, a 2% annual increase in these cancers in 20, 30, and 40-year-olds, in younger people. So that's why the recommendations for screening for colon cancer, let's start with that, have dropped from 50 to 45, and even younger if you have a family history that's significant for that. So, look, if you've got first-degree relatives in the family that were diagnosed, before age 55, make sure that you talk with your doctor about that. And look, at 45, if you don't want to do the prep and go in and get the colonoscopy, look, at a minimum, talk to your doc about a Cologuard, one of these, or some other alternative test. That's probably the one that's the most popular that people talk about. That really does a good job of catching sort of a lot of the imminent and, pre-cancer kind of lesions, and certainly cancers. Does a pretty good job of that. It is not the gold standard. It is not colonoscopy. But look, we'll take what we can get. Let's at least start there if you just won't do the colonoscopy. And anyway, talk with your doc about that. So, it's not just colorectal cancer. It's pancreatic cancer, stomach cancer, esophageal cancer. If you've got chronic heartburn, and you just take a Tums, you're just chewing Tums like, Drake eats, Oreos. I mean, or used to eat Oreos. You got to be careful there. Talk with your doc because, it's fine if you maybe have been up late at night because you had a late night project and you're eating pepperoni pizza with the gang working on the project and, I got heartburn. Take, a couple of weeks of a Prilosec or Prevacid and you go, okay, it's better now. But if this is an ongoing problem, talk to your doc about getting someone to look at your esophagus. And, it's really, these are cancers that and pancreatic cancer, they seem to be on the rise, we think, because of, listen up, moms and dads of teenagers, listen up. If your teen is obese, that may be setting up and if they're eating too many sugary things and really a lot of processed foods, RFKs may be right. We're not sure. But there may be some connection with the genesis of these things starting as young as teenagehood when people are messing up their, Peter's going to kill me for this, microbiome. He said, if you say microbiome once more, but I'm going to say it again. It's important. And it's very, very important. So, look, we don't know exactly why. There may be many reasons, but these things are on the rise. Docs out there, nurse practitioners, PAs, don't blow off gastrointestinal symptoms in younger people. And younger people, don't blow off your gastrointestinal symptoms. Bring it to your doctor's attention and evaluate rather than ignore.
What about Trump's new diagnosis? Is it a problem?
He was diagnosed. They took this picture of him at the FIFA competition with the swollen legs, and you could see a little swelling over the top of his shoes. It turns out they did an extensive evaluation looking to rule out a clot in hhis legs, which can cause that, looking out for a congestive heart failure or kidney failure. And statement came out from his doctor yesterday that's, again, about the timeline of Adam Schiff and his maybe mortgage fraud. Did you hear about that? You'll hear about it after this.
is corrupt.
No one, not even a president, is above the law.
Well, that's Adam Shifty Schiff back in the day. Getting all over President Trump because no one's above the law. Welcome into Wake Up Missouri. If you've been late in joining us, that's okay. That's okay. We have you covered. You can listen to the podcast later on. Thanks for being here. We do appreciate that. And we've, in case you're wondering, if you live in Boone County, we had a really vigorous discussion last hour. You'll want to catch that on the podcast about this upcoming vote on senior citizen tax freeze. So you may want to take a listen to that. But
and
now
you can weigh in on our Facebook page. We're doing winners and losers at 8:30. So put it on our Facebook page or text us 573-874-9390.
So there's this issue about, this is like deja vu all over again when it comes to these high-profile officials, whether it's the Attorney General of New York, Letitia James, who had her own and has an ongoing problem with having several primary residences, right, and getting mortgage advantage thereby, and allegedly fraudulent mortgage documents. And I think that's working its way through the courts. And now comes Adam Shifty Schiff, who I guess if you're a shapeshifter, you can have two primary residences, right? Whoop, I live in Maryland. That's my primary residence. Oh, but now I want to buy a place in L.A., and I'm an elected official there as a congressman from that district. Oh, now I'm going to buy a house there, and this is my primary residence.
And I think the crux of the matter is when you get a better rate on your primary residence. So if you claim something as your primary rate or as your primary residence, you get a favorable interest rate, and now he's switching that around to defraud.
And some tax advantages potentially, too.
Potentially, yeah. Apparently he claimed the California property tax exemption or something, but it has to be on a primary residence.
Right.
But he got the mortgage advantage in Maryland for it being his primary residence.
So in 2003, he and his wife purchased a home in Potomac, Maryland for $870,000. Yeah, chump change for a congressman. If you're a congressman, you can do that, not a problem, because they don't make very much, right? And he signed a Fannie Mae backed mortgage agreement for $600,000. Okay. Then he purchases 2009, 6 years later, he purchases a Burbank condominium, and Schiff was serving as a lawmaker at the time, as a U.S. House lawmaker, right? And then he reaffirms in 2009, 11, 12, and 13, they reaffirmed the Maryland home as their principal residence in mortgage refinancing those years, right? On that home. Okay. Then in 2017, he pays California property taxes with a check showing his Maryland address.
What address is on your check?
Then he refinanced. You don't write checks, so you don't have standing there. Oh, I thought you told me you own plastic only.
But I think I'm not going to throw out my own or reprint checks with different addresses.
So then he refinances his mortgage and lists his Maryland home as his secondary residence in 2020. Can you have it both ways? Or maybe you can. Maybe 1 year it's your principal residence, and the next year it's not your principal. I don't know. I mean, it just. But then he goes back. There is a clip out there where he basically says, my residence always and has been and always will be L.A. Well, if it's didn't he just burn himself?
Declare that and sign a document that said it was Maryland.
Can that be used against him if he said that publicly?
He's the subject of an investigation, apparently.
So now he's been referred by the housing authorities, by whatever, one of these housing things.
Yeah, FHFA.
FHFA, yeah. Federal Home Financing Administration.
He's been referral to Pam Bondi.
Yeah, to Pam Bondi. I'm sure she'll sit on that. That's not a big deal, right? Oh, she's going to go after that.
The memo says he engaged in a sustained pattern of possible occupancy misrepresentation.
Mm-hmm. Then Trump, of course, is blasting him, calling him a scam artist. Schiff says this is just Donald Trump's latest attempt at political retaliation. Schiff, you know what political retaliation is when you said you had the receipts on Donald Trump's Russia collusion. Remember when he came out from a closed-door meeting and said that? And that
these battles about primary residences, whether you're on, you're living in suburban Virginia or Maryland, or you're living in Boone County. Heck, Josh Hawley had to go through that himself back home.
But think about what Trump's been through, because he himself has been accused of overvaluing properties to seek tax advantages or other advantages. And so if I'm him, I'm thinking, if I'm getting all of this criticism for my, financial statements one way or the other, then why isn't this guy?
Can I ask you a question?
Maybe. I don't know that I'll know the answer.
Are you troubled? Is anyone in Wake Up Family troubled? Are you troubled, Stephanie? Are you troubled, John? Are you troubled, Drake? I'm troubled when these people can throw out the bucks for an $870,000 home. They borrow $610,000. I mean, maybe that's how people become incredibly wealthy, right? He refinanced 4 times, 2009, 11, 12. And I'm not saying, but when you have that much money, you're a high-profile individual. You're an elected official. In this environment, there's going to be not a microscope, but a microscope on everything you do. Why are you bumping against the edges? Why don't you just say, okay, if I got to pay a little more tax, if I'm paying another $10,000 worth of tax in a year, when I have a property worth almost $1 million and I'm making enough to be able to pay that. In other words, why do they test it? Why do they push the edge? What's the point? Why take the risk?
Well, I'm not in any way covering for these folks, but the same with Trump and the same with Schiff. At that level, you're probably being advised by your banker or your lawyer or whoever else. And if there are loopholes or gray areas, it's your financial advisor's job to get you the best deal. And so you think he's making these decisions, or his banker's giving him the wink, hey, if we put primary residence here, it's going to save you $100,000 over the life of the loan. I do it all the time. And so I'm not saying, I don't
wait a
think.
minute. Stephanie, I'm going to call you on that one. I'm going to call you there. Go back to last hour, Drake. Remember when last hour you said, when I was saying the legislature worked hard on this, and where were the lawyers? And you said the lawyer does what the client says.
Not always.
So just because you advise me to bump into a gray area, in fact, I do that with my tax accountant. We do that. He says, you can take this. I'm like, I don't want to take it because I just don't want to even have the IRS knocking on my door. It may cost me a few pennies.
Most people are not you, Randy. And I think they would say if it saves me a few bucks, other people are doing it, and it's not blatantly illegal.
Oh,
then
that's the operative word.
No, I think there are a lot of people who operate in that space, and I think I think not a lot of people say, don't give me any advantages if there's any question that it would come back on me later. And I think that's where you see this guy. I wonder, though, because there are some pretty specific rules about primary residence when it comes to the IRS. And, you hear those people who live part-time in Florida or they stay one extra day in a state with no income tax or what,
My dad had a friend on that.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of rules around that. And so I wonder with a Schiff, how the IRS defines his primary residence, because I think you have to show which place you actually spend more time in. And I don't know if the rules are different if you've got a job in Congress where you're required to be there part of the time. And now that we've opened up remote work, a lot of people struggle with, I think, this question of what's your primary residence.
So thank you for just endorsing a flat tax. Thank you for that. Appreciate that.
It takes me back to, gosh, what was it? Early 2000s, late 90s, when Bill and Hillary bought the house on Chappaqua, Long Island for $1.5 million. The only reason I paid any attention is because they were up the block and around the corner from my cousin and family.
Wow.
And then they bought another $1 million property next door, and it was all designed so Hillary could run for office in the state of New York. Right. Wasn't that the whole deal? And then they all started looking into it, and it went all the way back to Whitewater and all
again,
that.
I mean, I think the ultimate check on this is the people, right? I mean, this story's blowing up, and I think people are getting sick and tired of people behaving like Schiff. And what we saw is, I think,
what?
Like Schiff.
Sorry.
Wow. Okay.
But I think,
let's go back and air check that.
But what we saw, we saw this in our last election cycle. It's a common thing for a candidate to be one candidate to run something against another candidate saying they're a carpetbagger. They're not even from here. They just moved here so that they could run for office, whether it's, a state house district or a statewide office. And I think it's up to us as the people to put a check on that. And so hopefully this is...
Bob Onder got some of that during the campaign, didn't he?
He certainly did.
Would I love to know of the universe of people who, as you say, are comfortable with taking the advice of, well, there's a gray area here, you can probably take it. They don't really enforce it, that kind of a thing. Okay, of that universe of people, how many of those people are irate, storming the Bastille when they wanted to hire extra IRS agents? No, just think about it. Do a gut check here, guys. And I think, but this continues to make me argue for some kind of a system that eliminates loopholes, that eliminates gray areas as much as we can, right? There's always going to be people that try to, push the edge, the limits of legality. But, what's the point? At the end of the day, when you're on your deathbed, was it a great thing that you pushed the edge and didn't get caught? Or maybe you went over the edge and didn't get caught. Is that making everyone feel real good? On the other hand, you just say, look, I just don't want to take the chance. I just want to be happy and not worry about it. I don't know. I'm just asking the question. And I think we the people should probably be, I agree with you. We the people ultimately control this. And that's why I think, 75,000 pages of IRS regulation? Why do we have that? Why do we have a system that has gotten there? And isn't it time for some serious reform? It probably is.
Let's ask Billy Long.
Yeah.
There we go. I think he's supposed to be on the program soon.
I hope he can talk with us.
We're going to figure that out.
He's going to have a bit of a muzzle as a government official now. I don't think he'll quite be as free and freewheeling as he has been.
I'd like to see somebody muzzle Billy Long. That's going to be...
And I understand, but I just don't understand why people in prominent positions would push the edge. If you're in a public position like that, why? If you have political ambitions, why do you want to open yourself for oppo research and blah blah blah? Why do you do it?
I don't know that you. I don't know that you know that it's that intentional, right? Like you go to your mortgage broker. There's 50 billion pages. They say sign here, like.
Now that's a different thing.
I don't know that I don't know that your accountant says this is a gray area. They just say, hey, there's this thing you can take advantage of. I don't know that people are fully informed. And that's because the regulations and the paperwork is so substantial.
All right. Well, that's Stephanie Bell justifying what Adam Schiff did. No, I'm kidding you. No, I think it's probably do you live there, 184 days out of the year, right? Who knows? Or 183
I
days.
think an investigation's warranted here based on his actions.
Yeah. What happened to Letitia, by the way? That's sort of gone into the closet. Where is it?
I don't know.
I'm going to do a little research on that. John, you? What do you have?
A bad call? Well, let's de-pants the ref.
Okay, coming back with that in 5.
This is Wake Up
except for this.
Top Tennessee House Republican lawmaker apologizing for losing his temper and being thrown out from a high school basketball game after getting into it with the ref. The dust-up included what appeared to be a failed attempt at pulling down the official's pants. Representative Jeremy Faison posted on Twitter, he acted the fool tonight and I lost my temper on the ref. I was wanting him to fight me, totally lost my junk, and got booted from the gym. I've never really lost my temper, but I did tonight, and it was completely stupid of me. Providence Academy live streamed the boys' game against Lakewood Christian. Faison's son was on the Lakeway team. The feed showed Faison in the stands before players hit the ground on a loose ball, spurring the ref's whistle and a brief scuffle. He was told to leave. Faison pointed a finger in the ref's face and says, "You can't tell me to leave the floor. This was your fault." He then grabs the ref's pants and pulled down on them. But the referee's pants apparently had the spandex belt and they stayed up. Faison walked away. Apologizing, he said, "For years, it's wrong for parents to lose their temper at sporting events, saying it is not Christian and not mature and embarrassing to the child."
Oh, man.
Gloria Johnson, a Democrat from the same neck of the woods, said pantsing a ref on the gym floor is what I would call next-level bullying, not even the stuff of middle school locker rooms.
Wow.
Now you know the rest of that story, especially if you ever reffed a ball game.
What possesses a guy to do that? I mean, parents do get worked up over sporting events. You see
Seen
it
a lot worse than unsuccessfully trying to de-pants somebody.
Yeah. Wow.
Clobbering people, pulling guns. We saw that in the last few months.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Scary.
Drake, you've probably seen that in games you've attended. Maybe you've participated.
I've done that.
Oh,
I'm the biggest heckler you will ever meet.
Well, that's different than pantsing someone.
Oh, well, I've never pantsed someone or tried, but I would laugh.
You haven't physically assaulted anyone, right?
No.
You may have wanted to.
I went to my first Mizzou basketball game as a college kid, and I was like chirping my head off, and I had a great time. And I went back to a high school game. And I don't know why I thought it would be okay to like go chirp the same level as a college game, but yeah, it was not the prettiest. I was yelling during free throws and everything. It was terrible.
Oh man. Hey, well, if you want to learn about the golden age and if we're in it, if it is yet to come, if it's going to turn into the tarnished age, you'll want to attend the Show Me Institute's event here in Columbia at Zimmer Communications World Headquarters on Lamone Industrial Boulevard. It's basically 63 in Grindstone. Aaron Hedlund, who's the chief economist at the White House Council of Economic Advisors, will be here August 1st, at 12 o'clock. But the doors will open at 11:30. Q&A, a discussion. He'll talk about that. And what does it mean? Now, look, if you go to the Show Me website, showmeinstitute.org, you go to events right there at the top. If this and then you register, it's free, and in fact, there's a complimentary lunch, which is very, very nice. If this event is marked as sold out, however, when you do that, just email events@showme. All the instructions are there. There's a link there. Just email them to inquire about seats because there's people that don't want you to attend this event, and they flood the registration, and then they make it appear as though it's sold out. I guarantee you it probably will be sold out, but find out for real.
Not uncommon for conservative organizations to have that problem. Also, don't forget Ashland Saturday night. There's a big fireworks show behind the YMCA. It's open to everybody.
That's
Bring
right.
your lawn chairs.
Stephanie will be giving out IRS filing tips, right? No?
No advice, tax advice from me.
Back in a
From the Zimmer Communications World Headquarters, this is Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell, the Zimmer News Team, and your host, Randy Tobler.
It's opaque to me what credible means in the realm of what a Department of Justice can do. They normally don't release things that have names of people who are not being charged with crimes. I've heard Democrats say, well, we need to do away with that rule and release it all. That seems like a bad precedent to set to me. But it strikes me that we're somewhere in between Trump saying, I want credible things released, and the Department of Justice trying to figure it out. My political advice is whatever you're going to do, something, a little bit, nothing, whatever you're going to do it as quickly as you can and put this to bed.
Well, that's Scott Jennings, I think, with expressing what a lot of us on Wake Up Missouri and the Wake Up family may be saying is, look, maybe you're in the camp of, look, get these things out there. Let's find out the names, who was accused, who are they? Are they dead? Are they now out of office? Why weren't they? Fine. Others are saying, look, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino have looked at these things, and there was a memo issued. Let's just get past it. The letter that Wall Street Journal said that they reported that letter that had been reviewed as a part of a 50th anniversary album put together by Ghislaine Maxwell for Jeffrey Epstein that Trump allegedly typed that said some locker room talk towards Jeffrey Epstein is really very scathing. And some are saying, no, that's just whatever. That's Access Hollywood. No one likes it, but that's whatever. That's Donald Trump. Let's move forward. Let's get to the agenda. Jen Bukowski was with us earlier. So let us know what you think about the Epstein thing. Are you done with it? You saying get past it? We have bigger fish to fry in the MAGA movement? Or are you saying, no, you promised us, Donald Trump. We want to see it. Donald Trump is listening to you because he asked Pam Bondi yesterday evening to release whatever credible information there is. And she said, yes, Mr. President, on X. I will ask the court to do that because she can't really do it. She has to ask the court to do it.
You know, I think that this is going to be drawn out by the left. And I think that's kind of what he was getting at with, if you think this is real or whatever. I think that was an overstatement. But the left, I mean, they could really hit a home run with this. I mean, they're going to start talking about this like they did J6. That's what they're going to start doing.
Well, and they're hoping that this is going to be their version of what happened in 2017, where, Comey briefed him that, hey, President Trump, you're the subject of an investigation. And that it just clouded his whole administration, got in the way of getting more meaningful things done than they already did, which the biggest of which was the tax cuts, which were recently reaffirmed and made permanent. So, Stephanie, are you let's get past it, or are you let's get it out there and then get past it? Where are you in this?
Let's get it out there.
Okay.
I think people have an insatiable thirst for this story. And so even getting more out there, I think people are still going to want more. So I do. But at the same time, I mean, what else are we going to be talking about?
You're right. Good point.
It's crypto week. We got some stuff there done on the Genius Act, but we're done with the BBB. Now we head into like regular budgeting and other things. I mean, Trump
back to the Biden hearings on competency and all that stuff.
Yeah, and maybe it's helping a little bit with Trump because, I mean, he's issuing all these letters on tariffs, and like every day we're not talking about tariffs is probably good for him. So let's talk about Epstein.
In other news of the day.
Sunny day, sweeping out clouds away.
Now, I have to say that I have been told by my adult children who have young children that they're going to miss Sesame Street if it goes away because the rescission bill passed and is now on President Trump's desk. That bill takes nine and change billion, 0.1% of the budget of previously appropriated money away from various things, including Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which is NPR and PBS. When it comes to the news and anything that has the potential for editorial, which is, I think, more on the NPR side than PBS from what I know. I see a lot of cultural stuff on PBS with, a concert here, a drama there, and, Sesame Street. I don't know. My kids watch Sesame Street. I mean, Drake, did you watch Sesame Street as a kid?
I didn't watch much of it. I wasn't a big Sesame Street fan.
That explains a lot.
Loved Elmo. And because we know you don't throw anything away, Randy, I'm sure you've got an old DVD player around. I got a lot of Elmo DVDs. I can just lend them to you.
Yeah. Several, actually. Thank you.
I'm sure.
I love my DVD players. I have one in my car that I still use.
Wait, what?
I love my CDs. I like to choose.
Boy, we would hope you would be keeping your eyes on your road instead of watching DVDs.
No, I said CDs. Did she say DVDs? I said CDs. So there's Elmo and there's Kermit the Frog. It ain't easy being green.
He's always kind of freaked me out. I don't really like him. But Elmo's
You don't
cute.
like dogs? You don't like Kermit?
You're wearing a Kansas City Chiefs hat, Stephanie. I mean, don't
What
you
about Cookie
idolize
Monster?
Kermit?
Do you like Cookie Monster?
Nah. Bert and Ernie, too. Randy's got them up.
After I wake up, I like to have a nice big bowl of oatmeal. Oh, and the first thing I do in the morning is practice blowing my horn.
Well, there. I mean, come on. What's wrong with Sesame Street? I mean, but I think these, look at, what is it, 20%? John, you said 20% is the funding.
I think, they said about 20% of CPB funding ends up with NPR / National Public Radio and public broadcasting stations.
And so I think that there will be a lot of corporations that will probably come to the fore. It's great marketing, great branding for them. If they want to be viewed as supporting community services and being involved in the community and, public benefit and all that, I mean, companies like to do that, right? So I think they'll probably...
They do their fund drives. They can take their fund drives to the next level. And you pull up any of the public stations, at least in the mid-Missouri area, and pull up the page where it says staff. They're pretty fat on staff.
Yeah. Oh, but we keep up those fund drives, PBS and NPR. Keep those up.
We love those $30 coffee cups,
And those DVD sets. But wait, there's more. You can get a ticket to the concert of some obscure pianist who we've never heard of before, but here's a particular selection that's really cool. Right? You can do that.
But University of Missouri is kind of in an unusual area because, their radio station is a national public radio affiliated, but Channel 8, the TV station, is not.
A lot of people that
they're commercial.
People that train at NPR stations often they cut their teeth there sometimes, and then they end up in commercial radio, right?
Many of us did.
They come to the right side of the fence.
That's right. Or the dark side, as case may be.
They leave the dark side and come to the Jedi. They become a Jedi. Well, but I heard Gary Nolan talking about this yesterday, and I agree with him. I think it was Gary that was talking. Yeah, it was Gary. I mean, I don't like that if they're taxing me and then they're paying, they're basically subsidizing competition. There's
our
something,
competition.
There's
They're literally
something wrong
taking
with
food
that.
off our tables with our tax
Right.
dollars.
There's something, violins here for John. Please, John feels bad. For all of you who have ever listened to an NPR station,
or worked at one.
You took food off of John's table. So the next time I want you to have a guilt trip, maybe go to the confessional, talk to the priest and, confess your sin that you took food off of. John almost had to walk around naked, no clothes on his back because you.
Thank goodness it was radio. But that's Gary's take on it too, and it's right. We're paying, and that's why the NAB, National Association of Broadcasters, did a heavy lift on the lobbying efforts on Capitol Hill with this one.
Yeah, no, and I think that's good, don't you? Okay, so now this is a Feel Good Friday. Don't forget that in just about 20 minutes we're going to be talking about your winners and losers. So you want to nominate those on the text line 573-874-9390. Or if you have a really great one you want to call on, 800-529-5572. Here's some news that I think you might feel good about.
Hey, everybody. We got a great show for you tonight. Senator Adam Schiff was my guest. We harmonized on 7 Bridges Road. What a voice. I cried. But before we start the show, I want to let you know something that I found out just last night. Next year will be our last season. The network will be ending The Late Show in May. And
listen to all the lefties in the audience as Colbert announces that they're not only cutting him, but the whole show as of next May. So only 10 more months of sound bites from Stephen Colbert.
Darn
Good.
it.
Maybe they'll pull the plug on commie Jimmy Kimmel to boot.
Boy, you said it there, man. He is one serious commie.
Well, and in the ratings, Gutfeld's been killing him.
Yeah. And so when I saw this, I thought, you know what? Is this sort of a death knell for? I think it's a death knell or one more nail in the coffin of traditional late night TV with a guy at the desk interviewing someone. But that format with Gutfeld just seems to be really very taking hold. It's got a lot of staying power. People are really.
He's genuinely funny, and he doesn't take himself so darn seriously like Mr. Colbert.
And I just love some of the comparisons he makes when the way he has fun with the guests, and the cultural references he makes. It's just beautiful.
Well, and I think it also, it speaks to the downfall of like celebrities, right? Because he interviews celebrities, and I'm like, who cares?
Who are these people?
Exactly. Yeah, half the time I could have no idea, but it's like, they want us to watch these award shows, they want us to watch these interviews, and they don't have the power they used to have.
Yeah. Well, you mean you wouldn't have watched that interview with Adam Schiff? If you want, I can send it. I can send you the link.
No, I'm good.
And I may watch that because I wonder if he held Schiff's feet to the fire. You'd like to think maybe he asked some tough questions. I don't know. So Colbert's been around for 10 years on that show.
Seems much longer.
Yeah. But boy, this is not the first time you hear one of these. It just tells you how lefty these audiences are on these live programs. Well, they're often pre-recorded, but I mean they're these programs and man alive.
And it gets pretty cutthroat in that late night business. Remember the Conan O'Brien versus Jay Leno, and they brought Leno back for a couple of years, and it was, and then when Letterman left and all that. So.
Yeah, it is pretty rough. 573-874-9390. Make sure that you get in on the winners and losers. So we'll start collecting those now, and we'll get those out at 8:35. But coming up, we're going to talk about the markets and see how those are looking. Things have been looking generally pretty good. I mean, there was some lukewarm inflation news recently. Didn't seem to faze many people. Stephanie with the Morning Bell, 8:25.
You're listening to Wake Up Missouri.
Morning, Bell. As we look at the markets yesterday, it was a very good day with the NASDAQ and the S&P cinching new records. The NASDAQ was up 0.75%, S&P up 0.54%, Dow up just slightly less at 0.52%. Again, we had records yesterday on the markets. We are celebrating, if you were looking at your portfolio this morning, a feel-good Friday, certainly. But I have a question for you, Randy.
Yes. I'm ready.
Do girls have a new best friend? Are the ladies in your life really into diamonds?
Not terribly.
Really?
I'm so thankful for that. I'm so thankful for that. They say they aren't, but I know every lady loves to get a diamond.
They do.
They do.
But Diamond De Beers, is that right? They are in a world of hurt right now
Why?
because synthetic diamonds are making a run for them. They actually closed their own synthetic lab-grown diamond, and they're going all in on mined diamonds. And that was, the gold standard for a long time, and that's what you kind of had to do. You had to save up for that big ring, but people are making different choices now.
Wow.
Synthetic diamonds currently account for more than a fifth of global diamond jewelry sales. That's up from 1% in just 2016. So think about it. 2016 to almost 2026, we went from 1% to about 20%. And for engagement rings, that penetration's even higher for lab-created diamonds, a 40% increase compared with 2019, according to a survey of 17,000 U.S. couples. And maybe I should care. I don't. I think lab-grown diamonds are great. You can't tell, right?
Do you like fake news, too?
Well, that's what De Beers is going in on. They're doing some, they upped their marketing budget by 25%. And there are some billboards. I think they tested them maybe in New York. And there's a nonprofit trade group called the National Diamond Council. And they're calling lab-grown diamonds a dupe. And they referred to mined diamonds as for better and lab-grown diamonds as for worse.
Wow.
Which is clever.
Well, okay, so what is the price differential with carat for carat? Let's say a medium high grade diamond and a beautiful, similar. I imagine all synthetic diamonds are perfect, right? Everyone's perfect. They're all the same.
Significant. The retail price of a 1 carat lab grown diamond has plunged 86% since the beginning of 2016 to about $745.
Whoa.
The price of a mined natural diamond is down 40%. It's also driving the cost there down. But it's still
What's that?
About $4,000. So a quarter.
Okay, that's a question for everyone.
So would I rather have a 5 carat lab grown diamond or a 1 carat natural diamond? Bigger is better, Randy. That's what you guys keep telling
us.
us.
Glass doorknob
Stephanie
on it,
says
right?
that's what we keep telling the girls, that bigger is better. Okay. All right. Okay. So this is an interesting question. Would you rather have a genuine but smaller diamond or a fake larger diamond? If 573-874-9390.
They said
like
back
the whole
in
debate when the CZs first came out, right?
Cubit zirconia.
Yeah, but I mean I think you can tell a CZ a lot of times, maybe not in an earring, but they said back in 2016 there was only about $1,000 difference between the 1 carat. But again, now you're looking at a $3,000 difference. And I think, as a young couple, that's probably if you're not yet buying a house, that's a huge expense. And we've talked about the pressures that are on young folks with respect to student loans and everything else. That, I could see why it would be enticing to buy a lab-grown diamond. And what you get down on one knee, you've got the marry me letters in the back, you've got all the flowers. He says, will you marry me? And you say, is that a real diamond or a lab diamond? You're not, no, you don't say that. You say, oh my God.
No, I'm sorry. I'm saying, I'm looking at it the other way. I'm down on bended knees saying, you are my precious rotes flower. And I'm going to give you the authentic diamond. It's not as big as I wanted you to have, but you're the authentic soulmate for me. So I'm giving you an authentic. Because you're not a fake. You're the real thing,
it's
baby.
Not as big as I wanted you to.
Oh my God. What do you say? All right, I guess we're going to have to ask the audience what they think. 573-874-9390.
Winners and losers of the week.
But just as a reminder, I'm not going to answer any questions about the Epstein files, whether about the radiation belt, and whether or not it was possible for Lee Harvey Oswald to get 3 shots off in 7 seconds. I don't have time to answer all those questions.
Well, Stephanie, that's a winner, right?
He's one of my winners of the week. I think when you're
Eli Drinkwitz,
Mizzou football coach. I think when you're in a position of power, but you can still have a sense of humor and bring some lightheartedness to things like that, I think it's great. He's been a great leader, and I know a lot of people are looking forward to the season, which kicks off here in late August, coming up really soon. He's one of my winners of the week. My other winners of the week are all the folks who make the world go round during the summer for working parents. All of these camps going on. I have one that I have to run out here and pick up from a summer camp, and I had one come back from summer camp, and she said, it's amazing. So from like the high school volunteers, my kids were they've been at Columbia College, at College for Kids. They do a great job there. My son was at the Lawrence Bowers basketball camp earlier this week. He was so excited to be hanging out with some of the Mizzou basketball players. It takes a lot of community support and a lot of volunteers to do that, and I'm thankful for them this week. My losers, of course, Stephen Colbert getting canceled. He's a loser for the week. And then also, I don't know who between MoDOT and Boone County is responsible, but it is not a pothole. It is a crater coming off Grindstone if you're coming up from Ashland as you're exiting to come to Zimmer headquarters.
Thank you.
You are going to lose your whole wheel. And so I don't know who's my loser, but amongst you all, someone figure that out this weekend, please.
John, you talked about a trolley incident in a pothole somewhere. Not Stephanie and Chris Trolley.
No, that was the one over by Herman over there.
You reported on that.
Yeah. That was when they went off the road and injured a bunch of people, and the driver said it's because he swerved and went in the ditch to miss a pothole.
I'm amazed at the apathy of workers there that in MoDOT, that even if it's not your responsibility, wouldn't you let your supervisor know? And, you guys do a great job. You're doing a great job. I understand that. But, man, someone take control and get these potholes fixed. It doesn't give you a good vibe. It just doesn't give you a good vibe. John, what do you have for winners and losers?
Well, I've got a couple of winner/losers and a couple of card-carrying losers. Let's say, depending on where you stand, if you don't have Anthem's Medicaid Advantage program, you may consider the MU Healthcare and Anthem Blue Cross coming to terms. Maybe not so positive, but at least it sounds like folks are getting back on the track, MU Healthcare.
Listener Paul says that Anthem Advantage people are now Anthem orphans, he calls them. And in a way, they're losers, not because they did anything wrong, unless, well, maybe they chose their Advantage plan wrong. I don't know. But, I mean, they wouldn't have known that this dust-up was going to happen.
The other two are definite losers. One is a Columbia woman facing drug sales charges after she drove off into a Jefferson City yard and fell asleep. She was caught with meth and fentanyl, found passed out in the running car. And the other one is the retired highway patrol trooper jailed after allegedly attacking police and paramedics when he had, what should we call it, a bad trip on some THC gummies.
Oh, boy.
Not a good way to hit the news there,
Trooper.
man.
Yeah. That's not going to be the last story we hear on that count, for sure.
We understand that the officer and the medics are all fine.
Okay, good. Drake?
All right, I'm going to go further on the diamond thing first.
Yeah, we were talking about diamonds and how Stephanie says that synthetic diamond prices have plummeted. What, about for a carat diamond? What was it? $700, $400?
I'm not a jeweler.
$700? And for for a 1 carat real diamond, that's plummeted 40%, but it's still $4,000. So, you're going to pay significantly more, right?
Yeah.
So where do you stand on this? Someday, when some very, very, very confused woman decides to become your girlfriend and then maybe your fiance, how will that go when you propose?
I'm on the side of real diamonds, and I'll tell you why. Because whenever I see those diamonds, there's a story behind them. Because, as you know, I am a big supporter of the African economy, whether it's warmongering or if it's blood diamonds.
Blood diamonds, there you go.
And, it's either, there's one of two things on how those diamonds get over here. It's either A, the militia warmongers that are forcing the slaves to, mine the diamonds. It comes over and it still has a story, but there's a chance that it might be like brought in.
Yeah.
This poor slave, he finds this big diamond and he puts it in his lip and he goes about his day and he escapes to America, sells the diamond.
You've been watching too many Leonardo DiCaprio movies, I think.
Oh my gosh.
So you think that you're assuming that the woman to whom you'd be proposing would value the fact that you toiled, the African mine worker toiled, you toiled to support that person, almost like a free trade coffee kind of a thing, right? And you just worked your buns off after you did this, and then you went to school. Every morning you get up at 3:00 to do the show, then you go to school, then you work all hours of the night. And you thought that authenticity and the sacrifice would be appreciated, right? It's honoring her. That's what
I wouldn't even say it's for her, honestly. I just want to boost the African economy at this point.
You just blew it. I just gave you the chance to make it all about her.
No,
and you didn't do that.
Well,
Terry says whatever she wants. Now I understand Terry's X handle is @HappyWifeHappyLife. That's Terry. Whatever she wants. That's good. Michael says winner 4-H and FFA exhibitors at the Boone County Fair. All right, good for Michael. Livestock auction tonight. Show me the money. All right. And speaking of local winners, Marissa says Daniel Boone Little League Softball All-Stars won the state tournament and are off to regionals in Indiana. I didn't know that.
How about that?
And they'll be on ESPN Plus at noon on Sunday for their first game against Kentucky. What do you think of that?
That's awesome.
Really cool. All right, we have Jackie on Diamond says, I buy what I want. Okay, well, so look, I think we've covered most of the winners I was going to talk. Did you have any others, Drake?
I was going to go further on the Eli Drinkwitz because that was, for the normal person, him saying that is crazy, and don't get me wrong, it is. But he also said to expand it to a 30-team playoff for college football, which, we're at 12 right now, and people don't like that. The year before, we were at 4, so we're talking about 30 right now. I really like Eli Drinkwitz. He just kind of says what he thinks and doesn't care because it's not like it's going to do anything. He's a great coach. He's a great recruiter, great motivator. And I guess my other winner would be Sam Horn in the same area because, he is competing for that Mizzou starting quarterback over Bo Prabula, and he got drafted in the 17th round to the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Wow. Okay. Well, there you go. Now, I think we should probably let me set this up. I would say we've got a couple of losers. I mean, serious, big-time losers. And this happened at a Coldplay concert the other night. And here's just a little bit of, what set the stage. Okay, so the performer says, let's go to the kiss cam at the stadium. And the kiss cam catches this couple, one of whom is the married CEO of a company called Astronomer. The other is the HR chief. And they're having an affair. He's embracing her. Immediately they turn away. And it's alleged, people have tried to do some lip reading. And some have said that, he used the F word and said, oh, F, that's us, and she was embarrassed. But at any rate, so these are a couple of losers, right? Now, apparently, though, the internet has sent out love to this guy, I can't imagine that. But the internet is sent, Andy Byron is his name. And he got caught on the kiss cam. And he made a little statement talking about how they should have respected people's privacy. I mean, doesn't everyone know there are kiss cams at the stadium? How much more of a loser can you be than these people? I don't know. It's weird.
I think it's karma, honestly.
Yeah.
The Lord works in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
He really does.
So does Truman the Tiger, so,
Now, what's interesting is the person who posted this, who sent this first off, she said, I just thought it was cute. She just saw it and thought, oh, man, I didn't think anything of it. Next thing you know, I mean, she's exposed She just thought it was like, oh, I just thought it was really cute, you know? I had no idea who the couple was, said the Coldplay mega fan. I just thought it was an interesting reaction to the kiss cam. Part of me feels bad for turning these people's lives upside down. You didn't turn their lives upside down. But then she says, play stupid games and get stupid prizes. Yeah. Well, I think she's right on that one. Now, Luke says Trump is a loser for insulting his supporters in basically saying, hey, what the heck are you guys talking about? Get out of here. You former supporters of me. If you're going to hold my feet to the fire, I don't need this. He said this earlier in the week. Now, last night, after the Wall Street Journal publishes an article that says he wrote a interesting letter to Jeffrey Epstein like they're bros back in 2003, now he's like, Bondi, would you release whatever's important to release here? I'm sure on Monday we'll be reporting on what happens over the weekend on that. So, Kenny says, I feel like the losers are the ones that went to a Coldplay concert. What, a Coldplay? I don't know.
They're a band.
Yeah.
They're
good, bad, ugly. Not.
I don't know. I mean, they have like a couple songs that I can think of. But.
John, you like Coldplay?
Coldplay kind of on the has-been tour by the stage of their career.
Yeah, they getting out there. Were they 90s?
No, I don't think they're quite that old.
80s? Huh?
Yeah, probably
90s.
Late 90s,
Late
early
90s?
2000s.
Yeah, well, probably a lot of people
Sound
like
right?
it.
I don't know.
Okay, Terry says, LOL, Randy, single, never married her. I missed the boat somewhere along the way. All right, Terry, all you have to do is get her that real diamond, and she'll value that. My wife hasn't weighed in on this. I'm going to have to see what she says about that. When we come back, we'll wrap it up with leftovers. Stay there.
This is Wake Up Missouri.
On a Feel Good Friday, hope that you're looking forward to a great weekend. I know that we're looking at extremely high temperatures and high heat indexes, so be very careful if you're out. Show Me games start tomorrow in Columbia. So I know Mike's been reporting on that. 30,000 athletes, is that what I read? Wow, huge. Or no, fans, I don't know. A lot of people. Lots of athletes, big time. So that'll be fun. We're going to have some fun here. Drake brought his accordion, so we're going to feel good about that.
Oh, very good. We're feeling very good today.
We're feeling very good. But John,
he's going to pull his best John Smoltz. You're going to take me out to the ballpark like Smoltz used to do when he played for the Cardinals.
There you go, John. What do you have for leftover?
Well, talking about pro athletes, Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice, from the looks of it, got off kind of easy. 30 days in jail after that car crash in Dallas where he was street racing the Lamborghini and the Corvette and crashed and hurt some people. And he also has to pay their out-of-pocket medical expenses to the tune of about $100,000. And the big thing hanging over it, possible suspension from the NFL. Some Chiefs haven't said yet on that. So
wow, that impacts the team. Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to let you know that there are some real wimps in the mainstream media that you knew that. This CBS News correspondent Scott McFarlane was talking with Chuck Todd the other day. Now remember how at the rallies Donald Trump likes to point his fingers up at the cameras and says, "Look at the fake news up there. Fake news, CNN." This guy was CBS. Apparently he was there. I don't know. I shouldn't make fun of the guy, but this is what he said.
It was such a horror because you saw
Butler, Pennsylvania,
an emerging America. And it wasn't the shooting, Chuck. I got diagnosed with PTSD within 48 hours. I got put on trauma leave, not because I think of the shooting, but because you saw it in the eyes, the reaction of the people. They were coming for us. If he didn't jump up with his fist, they were going to come kill us.
I know.
Now, wait a minute. You mean to tell me that in that moment, this CBS reporter was looking into people's eyes to see if, and somehow he interpreted whatever he saw as, talk about this narcissist. It was all about him, and they were coming for him. Trump wasn't talking about the media at the point he was shot. Was he? I mean, I don't think so. It was a chart that was about immigration. So he gets diagnosed with PTSD, and he knew that the people were coming for him. The people didn't know what the heck was going on in that moment. This is how much they hate you. If you've ever thought about, supported, talked about, approved of, voted for, contributed to Donald Trump, this is what they think of you. Man. So when you hear reporting from them, A, know that it's going to be spun in any way to hurt Donald Trump and anyone who supports him and to denigrate you. And B, there's probably reporting that should be reported, whether it's about Joe Biden or John Brennan or James Comey or Hillary Clinton or anyone that's ever worked for any of them, that won't be reported. There's a lot of stuff that you don't hear about because they control the flow. Holy cow, man, I saw that. I thought, wow, this guy. Yeah, you are. I'm glad you're seeing a psychiatrist. That's good. If you think that this about Butler, Pennsylvania was about you, man alive. All right, well, let's have some fun. Drake is going to serenade us as we go out here.
Sure, I'll try.
With a little accordion music. Yeah. Here we go. Isn't that great? It is county fair time after all. Yeah.
County fair? Is there a lot of German music that happens at county fair? That I don't know?
I'm just saying it's a fair.
You ever been to the Gasconade County Fair?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Take us out. He's going to take us out here.
I'm not taking us out, but I'll play a little bit more.
That's great. That's a real skill. Multi-talented producer Drake. Is that it? Are we done? We don't get more of your serenading? All right. Hey, thanks for being with us. this and every day on Wake Up Missouri. We got an AI expert coming up on Monday, so that'll be fun to talk about that. What does it mean for your life, for your world, for your job, for those who you love's job? See you then. Have a great weekend. Stay cool.